Thanks for tuning in to the Women's Vibrancy Code, a podcast dedicated to helping women move from exhausted to energized, balance their hormones, and feeling turned on by their life, their lover, and themselves. I'm your host, Maraya Brown. I'm a Yale and functional medicine trained women's health expert, midwife, mom, keynote speaker, and self-made entrepreneur. I'm the founder of my signature program, the Women's Vibrancy Code. So sit back, relax, and let's chat about your energy, hormones, libido, and embracing your feminine power. Oh, and you might want to have pen and paper to take some notes on some of these episodes. Hey, Maraya Brown here. Welcome back to the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. This is a fun one. I have two testimonials from two ambitious powerhouse women in the world. This comes from one of my free workshops that I did online. This one was called The Vibrant CEO, where I supported women in their endeavors to become the CEO of their businesses, the CEO of their lives, the CEO of their health. And I have Kathleen Cameron and Wanda Watson that are both clients of mine and shared their testimonials. So for those of you who don't know who Kathleen is, she is a spectacular powerhouse woman in the world. Her strength is helping other ambitious men and women step into their true passion, and she helps her clients become the best version of themselves. And I have had the esteemed privilege of supporting her along her health and longevity journey. And then Wanda Watson is an amazing powerhouse tax strategist, and she's the owner and founder of Premier Business Solutions. And she too has been in the Women's Vibrancy Code, and she's come to my in-person Women's Vibrancy retreats. So please listen up, hear their true stories about their own experience and transformation. And then I also answered one of the participants' questions about when you are doing your best to get phenomenal sleep, and you just happen to have one of those nights with junky sleep and you're exhausted. What do you do with that? So for those of you, you might want to listen. I actually interviewed Wanda Watson in the podcast. You might want to listen to that if you're curious about listening to a tax strategist. I know Kathleen will be coming on for a future podcast. She and I have a speaking engagement together. Definitely stay tuned there. And regarding the sleep question that I answered, you might want to revisit the sleep series that I did here in the Women's Vibrancy Code podcast. It was a 3-part series with a deep dive, everything sleep. So hopefully you enjoy, listen up, and until next time.
I'm Wanda with Premier Business Solutions. I have an accounting firm, and we work with elite entrepreneurs, and I am an expert tax strategist. And Maraya helps me stay sane.
Tell me more about that. In what way do you feel like you're staying sane?
Wow. Well, I feel I'm like a totally different person than I was when we first met. And, life was in control of me and I was not in control of it. And, so it's just so much, but, setting boundaries and doing the self-care and, even my diet and the supplements and even understanding the whys, like with the Dutch test and things of that sort. It's been wonderful. Yeah. It's been wonderful.
I'm so glad to have you. When you say that life was in control of me, how did that show up for you in your life, in the roles that you played in relationships and family and friends and work? What did that look like?
Yeah, I was that one, being the go-to for the family, and you have to rescue everyone, at least so I thought, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And running my business, and everybody and everything was priority except for me.
Mm. Yeah. Right. So me as the priority.
Yeah. And I didn't even understand that until I met you.
I'm so glad that we met. We shared a coach. We had the same coach for a little bit, and then that's how we
Yeah,
met.
we
And
did.
so when you think back to when you were thinking about saying yes to the Women's Vibrancy Code, what got in the way? What made you decide to say yes?
What got in the way is, again, putting everything else first and everybody else first. And so, my first thought was, that's a huge investment. And, that's something I was used to doing for my business coach from my business, but something I really hadn't even thought about for myself, for me personally. And then I just was sick and tired of being sick and tired. How about that?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm worth it. I'm worth it. And so, so I took the plunge.
Does it make you think of that song? I'm worth it. Not that I can't sing, but you know the one I'm thinking of, right?
I do. Yes.
Oh, that makes me want to dance. Okay. So we've been together. You're now on your second year, and you've been to one of the Women's Vibrancy retreats.
Yes.
What's changed?
Everything's changed. It's like I said, now I understand, the whys. Like if I'm feeling a little bit sluggish, I can think like, okay, what did I do differently? Because when you read the Dutch test and what have you, and I saw the times where I just kind of like plummeted, plateaued, not plateaued, literally plummeted. And I was like, yeah, that's me, and I'm just like totally out of energy or what have you. I don't have those peaks and valleys anymore. I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's been a huge change that I've noticed.
And so it sounds like a lot of learning, a lot of shifting in how you prioritize yourself and say, I'm worth it. But then also the personalized, quantifiable numbers to go, okay, we looked at my Dutch test. We looked at my GI map, whatever the test might have been. And you're like, whoa, that makes so much sense. So I know you and I understand a little bit about a pretty good amount about your lifestyle and what's going on behind the scenes. Yeah. But then we can also look at the numbers and come up with a really personalized plan. As you prioritize yourself and as you feel more stable and you don't have the big troughs and valleys and mountains or whatever the saying is, and as you invest in yourself and you stop rescuing others and you feel more in control of your life, what change does that create?
You actually you feel better. I feel better. I'm showing up for me now, in spite of all of the noise around me, the people around me that are like, what's wrong with her? Like I called and I need this. What's wrong with her? She's not, but it's like, no, we have boundaries. And actually, Maraya, I was thinking about this earlier. Showing up for myself has helped me personally, but it's also helped me in my business. Mm-hmm. So like I said, investing in business coaching and what have you. Okay, that's been great, in most cases. Mm-hmm. However, what was missing was me showing up and investing in myself, doing the work for me. Because now not only am I showing up for myself, I'm showing up better as a better CEO for my business as well.
Yeah.
Right. That is so huge.
Yeah. I love that you say that, because some people are like, well, I can invest in my business coaching because I know that there's a direct ROI. If I build the business, I'm going to make more money and then it can pay for this. And I go, how is it that we don't connect the dots? When you feel better and you have the brain clarity and the energy to make it through the day, and you're sleeping better and you're setting priorities and you're feeling good, talk about an ROI and how you build your business, how you interact with your team members and your staff and your clients. And once again, people don't remember what we say or what we do. They remember how we make them feel.
Right. Right.
And it sounds like I'm hearing people respond to you like, whoa, look at Wanda, setting some boundaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so in the midst of the Women's Vibrancy Code, you had access to group calls, you had access to one-on-one time with me, one-on-one time with the nutritionist, rest sessions. I see Christy on already, plus the modules and the testing. and Scott and Eva, when you think about, and all of the guest experts that I brought on each month, when you kind of sift through the buffet of options that you had, what were some of the most potent and most impactful for you?
Wow. Oof. Let me just say, I was thinking today, as I looked at my insurance payment, my health insurance payment going out, I was like, I don't need that. I have Maraya and her crew. Anyway, and really I joke about that, but it's like, I would really reach out to you before consulting with a doctor, to be quite honest. And the fact that even if I go to the doctor and, get some testing done, just knowing that I can upload them and you can look at them and I would have more of a thorough analysis. That's huge for me. Christy is on. Christy has been such a blessing to me with the rest sessions. I mean, I get so filled up when I think about that. She has helped me work through a lot of the stuff, just a lot of the stuff. And, and even with the nutritionist and, meeting with her and just finding out about, the stuff in my gut and needing to do the cleanse and everything, and just really taking a deep dive in that. And then you come and then you just clarify all of that. And then the DHA with the hormonals and everything. It's just been wonderful. And even Scott with the mindset, I may not have been on every call, but each call that I was on, I've really, really gleaned things something from. And our one-on-one was phenomenal. So I have nothing but like great things. And if I can say, even Michael in the background, helping me with mom and, so it's just been huge.
Yeah. I love it, Wanda. And I think the beauty of it is each woman that comes in, like I said, there's kind of a buffet of options, depending on how much time someone wants to spend. Do you like group? Do you like one-on-one? And then I bring in, I'm perpetually listening. What are other questions? Like this next week for the group call, we have someone coming in who specializes in human design, and everybody's human design. We're going to talk about that because there were a lot of questions. And so it's perpetually changing. And I'm also just looking in the chat. I'm seeing Krista and Christy and Becca, all just giving you love. The community of women. What has been your experience of the community of women?
Oh, it's been great. It's been great. I actually, I'm so glad that I went to the retreat because I was able to, be up close and personal and really, get to know everyone. And everyone's just so supportive and, just so loving and encouraging, so that's been huge. And even being able to build on one another, like on the call last week, and I think it was Sherry that shared something and it was like a light bulb came on. It's like, yeah, I can totally relate to that, and yes, it's just been good. And then, we reach out on Facebook every now and again, hey, how you doing? Just checking in and what have you. So it's been good.
Yeah. Well, I'm so grateful for you. Anything else that you want to say about just who you've had to be along the journey to have the transformation that you've had and how it's creating a ripple effect for the future version of you?
Yeah. I really just had to be really open to things that we never discussed before, with the sexologists and what have you. And we talked about that, growing up, we didn't talk about sex. I mean, who does that, Yeah. But, and really open to, all the wisdom that's been shared with me. It's just been wonderful, and open to the change, desiring a better me, and doing the work, what needed to be done. And still needs to be done. I haven't arrived by any stretch of the imagination, but I've come a long ways.
I don't think there is an arrival.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would just say that, if you say, well, no, I can't afford that, you can't afford not to. You can't afford not to, because again, it's huge. It affects your business, your family, your relationships, and what have you. But more than anything, it helps you. It's helped me to fully show up for me. Yeah.
I'm so glad
that's non-negotiable.
I love working with you. It's so fun for me. It just,
Oh,
I feel like my zone of genius gets to be expressed every day.
oh, and I appreciate you too. I do.
Thank you for your time, Wanda.
My pleasure.
Mhm. All right. I know we have Kathleen coming in soon. I wanted to get to one of the questions that was submitted in advance, and it was around sleep, which I thought was a really fascinating and good question. And Becca had asked the question, well, I'm a single mom, I've got a child, and if the child's up all night and not sleeping, like, yes, I'm doing my things to get better sleep. But what do I do in that if there just happens to be that one night where I didn't get any sleep? And the reason I love this question is it's relevant for all of it. I get you. I've got a 10-year-old, an 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old. There's still not a night where I sleep through the whole bed without some child coming and get in bed with us, right? As a midwife, I would do a 24 or 48-hour shift and be up for long periods of time. For a woman who's in menopause and struggling with hot flashes or urinary frequency, that might be one of those things that's waking you up. Or if you're a person who travels a lot and you're struggling with jet lag, or you just had to do an overnight, whatever it might be, right? So there's lots of different causes of I didn't get any sleep. Okay. If you're one of those where your adrenals are starting to get exhausted, your blood sugars aren't stable, and your cue is I wake up in that 2 to 4 a.m. time period and my mind is buzzing and my body's exhausted and I struggle to go back to sleep. Right. And now you've got to still show up the next day for the people that you serve. So what do I do with that? First, I wanted to say hydrate. Hydrate like it's your job. Okay. If you have had a night of no sleep, I actually think that hydration is more important than caloric intake. Because what's happened is when you don't sleep, your body hasn't been able to properly detoxify and it ends up becoming more dehydrated. So now we have more brain fog and we have poor eating choices. That's when we tend to crave the really crappy food. And it's not necessarily more calories that our body is needing, but our body's really needing good quality hydration. And when you are going to eat those small meals, make sure it's a lot of greens and make sure that there's ample protein. And if possible, allow that protein to be light, not something too heavy. So maybe not red meat, maybe nuts, sprouts, legumes, right? Maybe some fish, some eggs, okay? Other things that I do if I've gone a sleepless night for whatever reason, I'll add in my extra CBD. I use a CBD oil that's THC free, and I'll take extra throughout the day. I also add in, sprouts or protein. yeah, sprouts. And depending on what kind of sprouts you get, my favorite sprouts are sunflower sprouts. So they're coming from sunflower seeds. They're a great source of protein. Ironically, broccoli is also a great source of protein for those that don't know. So eat your broccoli. And then broccoli in particular is really good at helping the body detoxify. And then I'm going to automatically add in my extra immune support because we know that when we're run down and we haven't slept, your immune system is going to be quivering. You're more likely, if you have a history of getting cold sores, that's when they're going to show up. If you're immunocompromised at all, that's when it can catapult into becoming sick. So obviously we're going to stay away from sugar. I make the assumption, but I need to say it out loud. That is not the day, even no matter how much you're craving it, to eat sugar. So there's no sugar. What does it look like from immune support? For me, I'm going to hydrate well. I've already said that. I will add in, for me, I do encapsulated juice plus. I'll add in a couple extra rounds. I also do encapsulated colostrum. As long as you're not vegan, colostrum is a great option. It comes from the very first milk. For those of you that have ever breastfed, it's that first milk. It's like that really deep, kind of dark yellow. And it's super high in IgA antibodies. Okay, so it's great for immune support. I will load up on vitamin D as in dog. So if I'm normally doing 5,000 international units a day, I'll do 50,000 a day for 3 days. So a nice pulse if I'm ever feeling immunocompromised or super run down. From an adaptogenic standpoint, when you think about adaptogens, definitely drink your adaptogen elixir throughout the day, and specifically extra cordyceps. So even if you have encapsulated cordyceps or you want to just add extra all day long, I'm going to urge you not to go to caffeine no matter how tired you feel, because the caffeine then depletes and you don't absorb the nutrients from what you're eating. But if you absolutely want some caffeine and your body responds well to it, I would go to green tea. So green tea or matcha, they do have great anti-inflammatory properties. And for some, green tea can actually help you sleep. And so, like in my scenario, I can't do yerba mate or coffee. It just sends me like, "Argh." But I can have matcha, and it works well with my body. So hopefully you've tested it before you've had the sleepless night. When you listen to the podcast series that I did on sleep, there's something called adenosine. So adenosine is the hormone of sleep pressure. Okay. As we stay up throughout the day, adenosine builds. And we want it to build. You want to build up that sleep pressure so that way when it's time to go to sleep, you're able to go to sleep. So that means try not to nap. Because if you nap, specifically if you nap more than 20 minutes, you're now reducing that adenosine and you're reducing your sleep pressure, which now makes it harder to go to sleep that night. There's so much that I can say. Focus on your light. Okay. So make sure your eyes are exposed to natural light. If you can just even open the window, okay? Natural light. It goes in through something called your suprachiasmatic nucleus. Through the eyes, it absorbs and it tells the body, okay, it's time to be awake. It gets your circadian rhythm going. If you don't have light and you live in a climate where it's in winter where you don't have as much, red light therapy can be lovely. So doing red light therapy morning and evening, about 15 minutes. Never do more than 20 minutes. It's a waste of your effort. So getting outside, can you get natural light on your eyes as well as your skin? Plus, you're going to be breathing in the fresh air. You'll be blown away at what a difference it can make. Couple more pointers, and hopefully this doesn't mean you do all of them, but jot down the ones that are like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that, especially Becca, because you asked the question and you're a healthcare provider and you know a lot of this stuff. Breathe, okay? Just slowly, just more profoundly and slowly. Focus on your breath. Let me say that again. Focus on slowing down your breathing. Deep, slow breaths. Okay. Sometimes I'll do Wim Hof. So I'll just do like a Google search Wim Hof and I'll do a guided Wim Hof breathing exercise. That's super rejuvenating. But if I don't have the time or energy, we can all do it right now while we're sitting here. There's never an excuse to say I don't have time to breathe. You just simply, when you breathe in through your nose. And when you breathe out through your mouth. And you feel your body and you feel your belly. Throughout the day, if you've gone a sleepless night, can you set your timer for once an hour to get up and get a little bit of body movement? Okay. Even if it's just 60 seconds, ideally 5 minutes to move your body. Okay. We want to when we move our body, it's sending blood flow through the body. It's allowing that oxygen to flow from cell to cell so that it can fire more freely and more efficiently. It's also going to turn on the brain. I love there was a study that I was listening to. I think it was a Netflix series, I think. And they were talking about these researchers that were studying rats. And the rats that exercise were smarter. They're more efficient. Okay? So if you're tired and you're feeling run down and you're feeling toxic and you can't think, you're feeling bloated for all different reasons, one of them being I didn't sleep enough, go move your body. And don't move it too hard. That doesn't mean a big run. Because if we run, sometimes that's just sending the adrenals into hyperdrive. It's like, where's the saber tooth? Where am I running from? And now the body doesn't feel safe. But instead, little snippets. So if you can do little snippets outside, now we're really talking. And if you can do it every hour, woo! And then be patient with yourself and be patient with others. Okay, when we're tired and we're sleep deprived, we're going to be more irritable. We're going to be a little bit more snappy. And so we just allow ourselves that little bit of extra, like, okay, I'm going to take a pause before I react. I'm going to step outside the room if I need to. I'm going to go take a shower if I need to. I'm going to blast the music and dance it out if I need to. Whatever I need to do, because I feel the lioness that's about to roar, not in a good way. Okay? And like I said, when we're sleep deprived, we're more likely to crave the junk food, the alcohol, the caffeine. So that's not the answer. One last thing and then I'm done. Sedation is not sleep. So in the evening, using alcohol or Ambien, whatever it may be, that is sedation. That is not sleep, my friend. Okay? So that does not mean that you get to lay like a log thinking that your body's sleeping when actually you're not getting into deep sleep or deep REM sleep and you're not getting the rejuvenation. And so if you've had the sleepless night, you're struggling the next day, that doesn't mean that you're using a sleep aid the next day. And like I said, listen to the podcast. There were 3-part series. They're all worth listening to if you're struggling with sleep. Okay, so really quick, let me pull on Kathleen. There you are. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Great. It's nice to see you.
I'm making sure I have the right mic set up here. Yes, I do. Okay. I have 2 mics now. It's like all complex.
Well, and you're obviously home.
Yeah.
Okay. So really quick, just introduce yourself. You want to tell the listeners in Facebook and watching the recording, the replay, and that are here on Zoom, who is Miss Kathleen Cameron?
Oh my gosh. I am a mom of 2 beautiful girls. They are my pride and joy. I also have a 3rd baby. She's called Diamond Academy, which is my coaching academy. And I'm a manifestation coach. I teach law of attraction, power of the mind, all those beautiful things. I formerly trained with Bob Proctor and started my career with him. Greatest teacher of all time of law of attraction. And now for the past 2 years, I've been running my own business, my own intellectual property, coaching, mentoring, and just creating a life of time and financial freedom for myself.
Mm-hmm. And so you are, in my opinion, a tremendous powerhouse CEO in the world with a great deal of ripple effect. You're changing a lot of lives.
That's so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Doing what I love.
Doing what you love. And so when you think about how you have shown up as the CEO of your health and the CEO of your relationships, what does that look like?
Well, it's been very transformative this year. I will say the least. It's been a learning and it's been growth and everything that I've experienced internally is now expressing itself on the outside. And so my health has become a primary focus. And I say that as in I've accepted the idea that I'm healthy instead of trying to, I was believing that I wasn't trying to become it. I've accepted the identity that I'm health and that I'm healthy and that longevity is how I live every single day. And of course, I bring beautiful Maraya into my life at a time when I chose that. And so she's been alongside me, guiding me along this entire journey of, my physical transformation. And in terms of my health, but also relationships too. Her and I chat a lot about that. I'm a newly single woman, so it's been almost a year. But life is different in both of those respects, and it's transformative in a really really beautiful way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I remember, so for those of you that don't know, Kathleen's one of my VIP clients, and I remember when you first said yes. And we started working together and I got a text and you're like, I'm making a lot of people cry, a lot of people sad out there because there was a number of people and experts and healthcare providers and health coaches reaching out to you saying, Kathleen, hire me, Kathleen.
Oh gosh, it was an abundance because 1 year ago, May 10th, so not even a year ago, I had a health awareness. And so I had lung surgery and was in the ICU with a chest tube and all of these things. And when I came out of that, I decided, okay, I'm taking this serious now. I'm really, my health is most important. Longevity of my vessel is key. I'm going to love myself to become the best of myself, which now includes my vessel. And so when I publicly said that, I had all of these people reaching out to me like, I can help you. I want to help you. I want to help you. And nobody, I didn't really resonate with anyone, to be really honest. But when I met Maraya in Miami, it was like, okay, yeah, I think I've found her.
Yeah. It was love at first sight. I remember we were in the pool and it was like everyone just kind of, we had a big bubble around us.
They all left us. They all left us alone. They could feel that the energy between us was so powerful. Mm-hmm. And so we had started with a big group of people in the pool. And then I don't know how long we were talking for, but we look around and it was like, everyone's gone.
Long enough that we both had to go pee.
We did. It was that long.
And what has changed so far? So I think you've shared publicly that I think on 2 different occasions over your life, you've lost 100 pounds.
Yeah, almost 3 times. Like
almost 3 times.
80 pounds once and then 100 pounds twice.
Mm-hmm. And since we've been working together, there has been change on the scale. For me, it's not as important. For some, it becomes a quantifiable measure that's relevant. But I'm curious, what is different now in your journey? And also what has changed in how you feel since we have been working together?
Yeah, I love these questions. I have rebelled against discussing the number on the scale now, because for me before it was such a big deal. It was like I used to count down the 10 pounds and then I would post it on social media and be like, look at me, I'm doing so good, I'm down another 10. So now I don't want to publicly say it, but it is this, the amount of a small child, more than that. But like physically now, I've had to buy an entire new wardrobe, probably about 3 sizes smaller than I was before. But it's more things like the amount of movement I can do, the flexibility I can do. I mean, I hiked Runyon Canyon, in an hour and a half the first time, 3 weeks ago, I guess now. I did it in an hour and a half, then I did it in an hour, and then I did it in 40 minutes, over the course of the week with my friend Eric. And I am stronger. I am more flexible. Like my heartburn has reduced. I don't lose my voice like I used to. I listened to myself actually back, from stuff about a year ago, and I can actually hear in my voice heavier breathing. Whereas now I just feel light and ease and flow and all that kind of stuff. But the beautiful thing is I seek nutritional things. So I ask myself, like, does this drink I'm about to have a nutritional value? Like, does it help me in any way? And if the answer is no, I'm like, yeah, I don't want it. So I'm always asking that. And then now I actually crave healthy food. So I've only eaten salad this year. My whole life, I despised it, and now it's my favorite food. So all kinds of things. But in terms of me and how I feel, I really do feel like my outside is reflecting my inside. And it is just such a beautiful ease and flow at which I'm doing versus my past and what I wanted to. It was all about how I looked before. This isn't about how I look. This is about really taking care of my body and being here for the long haul. Like,
Yeah. And I think it's so cool that you brought up the changes in the voice. So we found in her GI map, when you met with Katie and I, we found something in her GI map that kind of gave reasoning as to what was happening with changes in her voice, and especially for someone that speaks a lot, and clearing and heartburn. And so how cool that we could give you a very personalized approach to go, we looked at your poop. And it gave us some answers.
You're so funny. Yeah, totally. No, it was so helpful. And actually, like most of the things that came back were not like shocking. They actually were like, this makes total sense. But I think what I loved the most, Maraya, was so many people tell you to take this supplement and eat in this way and stop having this. And they just say it because it's like a one size fits all approach to everything and everyone. And that makes no sense. So what I loved was, after all of that came back, we met and with Katie and, we actually said like, okay, so what do you think you should take? And this is what you guys recommended based on what the results were saying. That made all the sense in the world. I don't know why that doesn't happen all the time.
I have another question for you, and that's around investing heavily in yourself. For the woman, and this is great because for those of you that don't know, Kathleen is she's an expert in the world of manifestation and really changing how we see ourselves in order to create the life that we want to create. And you might have your own different words that you would use, but that's how I describe you.
Yep.
And so for a woman who is hungry to say yes to herself, she feels like this could be a solution for her. And yet there is fear around investing heavily in herself. How do you make those decisions? Because for you, I think it's probably fair to say you've made $100,000 investments for yourself.
My biggest investment in myself was $330,000.
Woo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so who did you need to be to do that?
The biggest thing is when you're investing in yourself for whatever it is, if you're joining a mastermind or a course or a coach or whatever that is, it's always about your sense of worthiness and your sense of faith in you and what you're going to do with it and how you're going to create. So for me, I sign up for things and I invest in me based on how I feel about me. It's not about the mentor or the course or the program, because I know that I function, I work, I'm committed, I'm here, I'm going to do the work. And so I trust me before anything else. Sometimes I think the fear is am I going to invest in this and this? Will this work for me? No, will I work for me? That's the biggest thing. And so every time I invest or I reinvest in myself, it's another opportunity for me to step into the best of myself, to be the confident version of me, to be the worthy version of me, to be the version of me that says yes to herself and her own growth. Every single time I've invested, I've brought that money back in double, triple, quadruple every single time. And it doesn't have to be an investment into my business, like every investment that I've made up until the investment with you, Maraya, was coaching, was like a course, a coaching program or something like that. And it was related to my business. So it was like, I'm going to sign up for this coaching and I'm going to invest in this. And so then my business will grow and I'll make more money. So, okay, this is reasonable. But then investing with you, it was like, well, this is about my health. This is about longevity. This is about my vessel. This isn't about my business per se. Like, I know the connection, but it was finally saying, okay, this is going to be about Kathleen the woman. And when I signed up for you to work with you, Maraya, it was a moment in time where I said, you know what? I am everything. I am my universe. Like, everything that is around me and that happens is coming from me. And if I'm not focusing on my health, then I'm not going to be here to be able to do it. Mm-hmm. So it was really a prioritization. It was less about investing more money into my business, but investing into my own health. And it's been a completely different perspective because it's not about a rush. It's not about trying to look a certain way. It's not about a wedding I'm trying to go to. It's about how can I learn the skills to take care of this vessel now for the long run and do big things while I'm here.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think that's changed how you show up as a mom, how you show up as a CEO, how you show up as a woman now single, possibly looking for a partner, if that is something that you're desiring? What changes as you've started to identify with health?
Mm-hmm. Oh, everything changes. I would say that the biggest thing for me is really stepping into a version of myself that really believes in what I teach. And I teach how to, build a massive business and an extraordinary life through the ease and flow, and through taking care of who you are, including your spirituality, your intellectual mind, and your physical body. And so now for me, it's a sense of wholeness. And so that sense of wholeness comes when I'm taking care of all parts of me. And like today, I put a pair of earrings on and some lipstick on because I was coming here, but I was at the spa all day. And I don't work Fridays. So people will be like, you don't work Fridays? No, I don't really work Tuesdays and I don't really work Fridays. And yeah, I have an 8-figure business. And those are decisions that I made to really, really live and practice what I preach. And my team, today we're doing self-care, self-love Fridays every day. So now every Friday, I want them to go and do something that they love and do something for themselves and take care of themselves. And the one thing that I think is so beautiful, I had a session with my trainer, who's a really good friend of mine, Eric, yesterday. And I get down there, we're ready to go. And then Reagan shows up, which is my 8-year-old daughter. She shows up in her running shoes, her little shorts and her t-shirt, and she's ready to work out with us. And I just thought that was so beautiful because she's starting to mimic more of my positive behaviors instead of some of the ones that weren't necessarily so positive before. Yeah.
Because they do what we do, not what we say.
Totally. I can tell her one thing, but it's watching. It's really just they pay attention and they just absorb it. And she's been saying things to me. She'll say, "Is this healthy, Mom? Is this nutritional?" Is this nutritional? And I'm like, yeah, girl.
And I had a moment of confusion. I'm actually talking to Eric this weekend. I don't know if I told you that.
Oh, good. Okay.
But isn't Reagan in Toronto and Eric's in LA and you were?
Yeah. So Eric is in LA. Yeah. He lives in LA, but we did a Zoom.
Okay. Got it.
I love Eric's training style and working with him now because he's more feminine. Not so hard.
He's starting to pick my brain about exercising based on a 28-day cycle. So we're going to have.
Well, that's why I told him. That's why I told him he needs to reach out to you because I'm like, because he trains a lot of clients. I'm like, well, do you ever consider the moon cycle? And do you ever consider a woman's cycle?
Yeah.
And he was like, no. I'm like, well, you got to talk to Maraya then.
There we have it. I'm going to talk to him.
He knows. I had my period one day and I said, Eric, I have my period and I want to take it easy. And he was like, okay, sure. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I want to honor your time. One thing I heard you say is that you support individuals doing it with ease and flow.
Yes.
And I've taken one of Kathleen's courses, and that was the big piece. You know, as I get into my own self-reflection with how I show up as a CEO, I watched patterns of and assumptions that it felt complicated when it comes to all the team and hiring and onboarding. And I would and more money. Somehow I had these old beliefs and assumptions that played out around it being complicated. And instead, I could hear from Kathleen and go, right, it can absolutely feel easy and it can absolutely be in flow.
Oh, yeah.
And so I love the reciprocation. You know, this isn't just a one-way street.
Yeah. And I want to just quickly share something too, Maraya, because I was reflecting today while I was at the spa. I think one of the most beautiful things is that you've really gotten to know me. So, you know, you've really taken the time to listen and to pay attention to, you know, maybe some of my past behaviors and feelings and stuff like that. And then where do I want to go and how do I want to see things and how do I want to treat my body and how do I want this journey to be? And when I messaged you this week, I loved that you actually and I don't think I got to really respond because I listened to all your voice notes and then I had to get on a call right away. Yeah. But I love how you didn't just tell me what I wanted to hear, but you literally said, well, I don't think this is actually how you want it to be though, Kathleen. Mm-hmm. You know, it was instead of rushing this, just celebrate. And that was so powerful. I actually have a post ready to go up for tomorrow to talk about celebrating myself because what I did and what you picked up on is I went right back into the old me around this journey and weight loss for a second there. I went back to the old me and was like, okay, I want this to pick up now. Let's go. Let's make it faster. And you were like, whoa, why don't you celebrate you? Celebrate the changes that you've made so far. And so I went back and looked at some old photos. I went back and listened to myself before, and I started writing out all the ways in which I'm different and I feel different, in order to celebrate it, to then pause in this moment and just be. And then what will be, will be. And I know that, yes. I know what the outcome is. I know where I'm headed. But it's taking the moment to pause. And I thought that was really beautiful, was just how open you were to getting to know me and seeing me and then giving me back what I actually needed and not, the opposite. Mm-hmm.
When it comes to the VIP clients, I keep that very intimate. And I do. I lean in and I love you dearly. And I want you to feel spectacular, maybe as much as you want to feel spectacular.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. When you think about all the changes that have taken place and the changes that feel personalized in their diet and their nutrition and their lifestyle and perpetually adjusting how we choose to see ourselves, all of that.
Yep.
What new hope do you have for the future version of yourself?
Oh my gosh. It's so interesting because I didn't realize how many limitations I actually had around my physical body before until now. You know, I would say I don't want to do that. Back then, when my body was larger and not as flexible and not able to do as much, you know, going up a flight of stairs I would be out of breath when I would get to the top. So I would always take the elevator and things like that. Going out to vacations and things like that. If there was a excursion, like a hike or yoga or something like that, I'd be like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. But I don't think it ever really was. I don't want to do that. it was more, I can't do that, or this is going to be too hard and things like that. So now I think about upcoming trips, or, I travel a lot just in life in general. Like I'm going to spend the month of April in LA. And I'm like, okay, I wonder where's all the hikes I can find? Where's all these fun adventures I can go on? Like, where's the things that I can do physically to have more fun?
Yeah.
And so it's opened up my eyes to so many more opportunities and experiences. And then I just think about how much longer my body is going to last me now. It's going to last me through all of this amazing work that I get to do over the course of my life. But I think the most important thing is the impact on my girls. Like, my girls are learning new behaviors, new habits, new ways of seeing the world. They're seeing a woman now who is taking care of herself every single day.
Yeah.
Like every single day.
It gives me chills.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah. And yes, when you're in LA, you and Eva can potentially meet up in person. And you're going to be at the Women's Vibrancy Retreat next month. And I'm taking you on a hike as part of the retreat.
Let's go. I'm ready, girlfriend.
Let's go. Let's go. Anything else? Any last parting words that feel important to say?
I just think for me, I've really, really decided to put longevity over vanity. And I think we would never say that we are vain. We wouldn't look at this and say, okay, I'm a vain person. But if I look back on my experience of yo-yo dieting for 25, 30 years, it was all about my appearance. It was all about what I look like. That's it. Mm-hmm. And so when somebody would go to the gym and they were in a thin body, I would say, why are you going to the gym? Like, why do you need to go? Or if a thin person would order a salad, I'd be like, why are you eating that healthy food? Are you trying to lose weight? It didn't compute, because the messaging that I received for so long was, you should do this, you should do that. It was never, I want to. And so now I really try as much as I possibly can to think about the inside of my body more than the outside of my body.
Yes.
So I'm really asking the question of, does this thing support me? Does this experience make me better? Does this food give me the nutrition that I require? And how can I treat my body in a better way? And so this is the first time that I've lightened up, I will say. This is the first time I've lightened up with so much ease and flow, to be quite honest. Like, just living my life, existing every single day, and just being a healthy version of me. And where some people, like my audience, doesn't congratulate me on weight loss because they know. But what some people, want to say is like, you're shrinking or you're slimming down. I actually believe I'm expanding. I really believe that my toroidal field is expanding. My reach is expanding. My power is expanding. My love is expanding. And so I'm actually being a greater amplified version of myself, other than slimming or shrinking down.
Yep. And your energy is expanding. Your ability to move is expanding. Your clarity of thought is expanding. Your lifespan is expanding. Because I can tell you, I've seen many very thin women that might look like they're fit. And I'll look at their CRP as an example, which is a reflection of their total inflammation. Yeah. Or their homocysteine level, which is a reflection of their cardiovascular well-being and a broad stroke. And have a conversation with them, and they feel like crap, and their blood work or their GI map is totally crazy. Their adrenals are exhausted. And I go, okay, they might look like someone that you want to see on a magazine, but they're not sleeping well. They're not confident. They don't have energy in the day. They feel unfulfilled in their relationships. They don't have a sex life. And we go, is that really what we want? Just so we can look beautiful in the mirror according to others? I
know. And so that's why health can really, really not be indicative of your appearance at all. And I really like to step back and away from that and really think about, our behaviors and how we feel.
Yeah. And it can be a both and, because I see changes in your skin. And for me, when I see someone's skin that has that glow, I know the skin is the largest organ in the body. I think of it as the most vocal organ. And it is singing at the mountaintops that your cells within your body are firing and much more healthy and swift and clean and toxin free and all of that. Okay. I could go on and on forever. I just love you so much. And I love working with you.
Love you too. Love you too.
And I'll see you in March.
Okay. Sounds good.
See you soon. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for listening to the show today. I know you have lots of choices and live a very productive life, as we all do. I appreciate that you've allowed me to dive deep in your journey of feeling turned on by your life, your lover, and yourself. I trust you learned something, expanded your self-reflection, and you're grateful we shared this time together. Connect with me at www.thewomensvibrancycode.com or on all social media platforms and YouTube by searching for Maraya Brown, Maraya Brown. Lastly, if you've found value in what we chatted about in this episode, please consider leaving me a rating and review on your podcast platform of choice. It helps others discover the podcast and get a feeling for the wonderful community we've all created together. As for now, I'm Maraya Brown, and you've been listening to the Women's Vibrancy Code.